On cleaning up all the data and creating the fact and dimension tables, it's time to start building what you see here. This is the final product, the Arizona Department of Education Science Proficiency Performance Index dashboard. Whew, that's a mouthful. So what are we looking at here? We have a dashboard that is broken down into, you can kind of look at it into thirds. We have a top third, a middle third, and then a lower third. Third has 4 donut charts that show you the performance index proficiency at school, district, county, and state levels. For each performance, there's high, moderate, and needs improvement. As we build the DEX measures for this, high is the aggregation of proficiency level 4 at each table. Moderate is proficiency level 3, and then needs improvement is level 1 and 2. This middle section incorporate an ArcGIS map for the counties in the state of Arizona, and it's broken down by how many students were tested in each county. So if we hover over Maricopa, we'll see that it passes 2 million. Yuma County, 41,000, Pima County, 328,000, and so on. This next table here is a matrix table that breaks the counties down by average proficiency index, column for each of the proficiency levels, and I have it sorted right now by proficiency level 3. To the state of Arizona, proficiency level 3 is the target proficiency level that is set to achieve a passing measure. And then to the right of that, we have a picture that I had AI create for this dashboard build out. And it's simply a Pixar style animated image of Arizona with a little bit of educational flair to it. And to the right of that, we have a column chart that shows state performance index by subgroup. And the subgroup is defined as what the student identified as the science proficiency exam occurred. And there's a filter above that. You can filter also by the school type according to charter, district, and alternative. If you were to click on alternative, dramatically change the that you see in the state performance index by subgroup, charter, and then district. Let's go back to all. Moving on this lower third area, we have key data definitions straight from the data set that we downloaded. A regular table that where we have filtered out some of the information to show the most important bits, which is what does the proficiency level mean? What does a school type mean? What is a subgroup? And what is a test level? So next to that, we have test level, school name, and subgroup for further filtering, where if we were to choose science grade 11, it then filters things to how that was categorized of science grade 11 across those different counties, schools, districts, and across the state. How do they fare with the performance proficiency levels? You can filter by school name and then by subgroup as well. Next to that, we have a proficiency index for the counties. And this is slightly different, where there is a performance proficiency index of 1 being the lowest and 4 being the highest. And this is averages for each county. As to where the table above that shows you a breakdown of the proficiency levels across all of the levels. This shows you the average for all levels of the individual county, along with the number tested for each county as well. Next to that, we have proficiency level index for the district, and then for schools. Now, for each of these, for the county, for the district, and for the school, there is a top N filter, meaning if you wanted to see the top 5 counties, then you can select 5. Alternatively, you can move the slider here and choose 5, choose 9, and you'll see the top number of counties. And it's sorted by proficiency index, being the highest proficiency index will be at the top. The same thing for district. You want to see the top 8 districts in the state of Arizona and have it sorted by proficiency index. Then you can move the slider for 8. You can move it to 5. You can bring it all the way up to the top 25. Now, I have it limited to the top 25 because we want to see the top X number of counties or districts or schools. And if you hover over any of these 3, you'll see how the information is broken down. Being the index value is between 1 and 1.9, and that is the majority of students are minimally or partially proficient. It shows that significant academic support is likely needed. Index value of 2 to 2.9 shows you that student performance is mixed, where some are meeting expectations while others are not. Moderate improvement required. The next one, 3 to 3.4, is strong overall performance. Most students are meeting or exceeding proficiency standards. And then the last index is 3.5 to 4, and that is outstanding performance. Majority of students are highly proficient, indicates mastery level learning outcomes. Each of these filters, you'll see how it's all completed. We're going to go step by step to build each of these components, and this is going to be across the bringing your data to life module as well as dashboards. To build this dashboard, let's open up the blank canvas and get started. In order to get this dashboard, we had to create several measures, and I'll show you some of those measures. We'll actually go into the model view here, and we'll zoom in. So there are more measures than will fit into if you get it out to its maximum point of which the program will allow you to, and scroll. And you'll see that there is % high performing for county, district, school, state, and then the same thing for moderate performing, needs improvement for each one, passing, % passing for each of the tables. There's the weighted, and then high performing for county, district, school, and state, moderate performing. So we'll get into how each of these are built, and then all of these are what are required to build the donut charts at the top here. All right, now let's get into a blank canvas and start from the beginning. All right, starting off with a blank canvas, I have all the measures here. Said step by step with this. We're going to create these measures together. So I'm going to click on the ellipses on the right hand side of measures tables. And then click delete from model. You're not going to do this on your end because we haven't built this yet. Starting from scratch, we're going to build out a table. So to create a measures table where there are only measures in there, go up to the top, go to the home ribbon. Under data, click on enter data. And you're not going to enter in anything into the table itself, but we're going to give it a name and have it called measures table. Click load. Now it's visible here. In order to change this over to a measures table that only measures exist in, we first have to create our first measure. And for that, we'll go over to new measure. And we'll call the measure total tested. For school, I have it equals. If you hold down the shift key and then hit enter, you'll go to a new line, hit the tab key, type in sum, hit the tab key, and then this is where we choose the table. So it'll be, you can hit the apostrophe, type in fact underscore school. Once you see it highlighted, you can hit the tab key and it will fill that in. And then we're going to choose the number tested. And then close parentheses. And that's it for that one. That is the entire measure that we are going to, that is our first measure. And it put it under data dictionary because it happened to be the first table in our data set. But if you take a look at the top left here, where we have the name of the measure and then underneath we have home table, you can click on the drop down and then let's find our measures table. All right, measures table. And now if we look over on the right under measures table, there it is. Now pay attention to the icon. It is the same as all the other measures tables. If simply remove this column, will convert the measures table into a measures only table, and it will shift its location and place it at the top. So if you click on the ellipses on the right hand side, and then you click on delete from model, are you sure you want to delete column 1? Yes, we are sure. And just like that. Now, the measures table icon looks like a little calculator. It is the new measures table, and living inside of it is our first measure. As we build up measures, we're going to create folders for these measures to live in. This particular one is going to live in a folder called school. And we can go ahead and create that now. So go over to the model view. Make sure that you have the total tested school measure selected, and then under display folder, we will type in school and hit enter. Now we've created a folder for that measure to live in. And congratulations, you just created your first measure. Okay, now that we've created the total tested school measure, we're going to add in the rest of the measures for the school donut chart. Where the folder is for the school measures table, click on the more options and click new measure. And that automatically creates a new measure under the school folder. And for this one, we're going to give it a name of needs improvement, and school in parentheses, say equals, hold shift and enter to create a new line, hit the tab key, and we'll do SUMX, hit the tab key, and that creates the open parentheses. The next thing that it's going to ask you for is the table. But first, let's create a new line. And then for the table, we will put in fact underscore school. And again, once you see it highlighted, you can hit the tab key and it will fill that in. From here, comma, create a new line, so which is shift and then the enter key. And here's where we put in the expression. Enter the closed open bracket key, so hit the open bracket key, and this selects the column within the fact school table. And the column that we are looking for is the number tested. With it highlighted, hit the tab key, and we're going to multiply, which is the asterisk, do an open parentheses. Oops. We'll do open parentheses, create a new line, shift and enter, and then this is where we will select two columns to add together for the needs improvement. And it will be open bracket to select the column. And it will be proficiency level 1. And then we will put in the plus symbol, new line, open bracket, and be percent proficiency level 2. So you have that selected. Go to a new line, be close bracket, new line again, and close bracket. And that closes out hit enter. If there was any error, if you have an error, it would show a red bar on the right-hand side. There is no red bar. Everything is fine. And now we can move to the next measure. So click on more options under school, click on new measure. And this one's going to be for moderate performing. So the first thing we do is we give it the name, moderate performing equals new line, hit tab. We'll do SUMX, hit tab. And then again, new line, and this is going to be where we enter in the table. So is fact underscore school. Once you have it selected, hit tab, then comma, shift and enter for a new line, and it will be, so we will select will be number tested, applied proficiency level 3. So open bracket for the column that we're going to select, type in number tested, and then multiply, open bracket again for percent proficiency, and then you can just use the down arrow to get over to percent proficiency level 3, hit the tab key, shift and enter to go to the next line, and close parentheses. And that is all that we need to do for moderate performing, except we need to make sure that the name our naming convention is important. I typed out moderate performing without putting parentheses school. And that helps us keep our data clean, keep our DAX measures clean, so that we can categorize everything and then reference it later on without getting confused as to which DAX measure belongs to what data set. So now we have total tested for school, needs improvement for school, moderate performing for school, and we also need high performing for school. And then there are 3 percentages that we will use for a chart itself. So click on more options for school, new measure, and this one's going to be called high performing. And don't forget to put in school in the parentheses again. So equals new line, which is shift enter, hit the tab key. And then similarly to the last 2 measures, we will type in SUMX, hit the tab key, shift enter. The table will be fact school, comma, shift enter for the next line. And this will be open bracket, open square bracket for number tested. Once you have it highlighted, hit tab, multiply, which is the asterisk, and then open square bracket again for the proficiency level 4. Once that is selected, hold shift and enter, and then close parentheses, and you will have that measure completed. Now we have the other 3 to do, which are, the first one is percent for needs improvement. So we'll give it a percent sign and then needs improvement. And then same thing, we'll put school in parentheses, equals, shift enter. For a new line, hit the tab key. And this is going to be divide. To select needs improvement, needs improvement for school, comma, the denominator is going to be total tested for school. Open bracket, total tested for school. And then close bracket, and that's it. Hit enter. We'll move on to the next measure, which will be percent moderate performing. School, go equals, shift enter for a new line, hit tab to go over, divide, open bracket, moderate performing, comma, open bracket again, and we're going to choose total tested. Close parentheses, and that's it. And then one more measure for the school folder for now. This will be percent high performing for school. This is equals, hold shift and enter for new line, then tab to move over. So divide, the numerator is open square bracket, high performing, hit tab once it's selected, makes things a lot faster and easier, smoother, comma, the denominator, again, same thing, will be open square bracket, total tested school. So then close parentheses and enter. Now we have all of the measures that we need for the first donut chart. And let's get into the canvas area to start building that. We have those measures completed for the school donut chart. Let's go ahead and build the first visual. Get into your canvas area, the report view. Before you begin building this, though, you'll want to size your canvas according to how you want your audience to see the format of the report. With nothing on your canvas, or if you do have something on the canvas, deselect everything. Go to canvas settings. Likely you have 16:9 selected. For this project, choose custom and make it a height of 1080 and a width of 1920. That's going to give it the standard 1080p, 1080 resolution that we're all used to on standard definition widescreen formats. You have that created, select donut chart, and then now you will select the three measures that have the percent sign. So it'll be high performing, moderate performing, and needs improvement. And let's go ahead and zoom into now, right out the gate, we have some things that we need to address. Each of the measures and make sure that you select percent so that it shows up as a percent. For your formatting options, for title, let's select everything, delete. We'll type in school, proficiency, performance, index. For this, we'll also center it. And if you see the DAX formula bar kind of hovering over and is open, you can select the cancel and that will make it go away. So we'll leave the heading 3, fine. That's good where it's at. For the font, most of the fonts that we're going to choose is Segui UI. Under legend and under title, we will give it a title called Performance. Now, right away, we can see that there's the title here for the breakdown is a little long. So we're going to clean that up. If you right click on the values and then rename this visual. High, right click on moderate, rename the visual. Percent moderate, hit enter. And then under needs improvement, we will simply delete the parentheses school and leave percent needs improvement. And that cleans it up a little bit. For the data, the detail labels, we are going to change this up to be on the inside. And then we're going to change the content labels to be just the data value. Now under values, we'll change the color of the font to be white. And the values themselves, the font size, we will change to 12. Now let's address the size of the slices. So under slices, let's change the inner radius to 75. And then the colors, under high, we will leave it as the blue color, moderate. Let's change that to a green color, a light green color. Under needs improvement, let's change that to, hi Loki. The middle reddish color, and the color code for that is FA Foxtrot Alpha 6769. And then the last thing that we're going to do for this particular visual is under the size and style properties. We're going to make sure it has a visual border and a shadow. We're going to turn both of those on. And then we're going to turn off the background. We're going to, under visual border, we're going to have the rounded quarters at 10 pixels. And then the shadow of that on the outside. And this one we're going to make a bit darker. So it's going to be this brown color. Finally, for the size of the visual, our final size of this visual will be 200 pixels high by 460 wide. And this will be the size of all of the donut charts across the width of the top. Now you may notice though that the performance, the categories, the needs improvement is a bit blocked off. So there's one more step here. Let's get into the under legend text. Let's make the text size 8 for Sagui UI. And there we have it. There's the first visual built for the dashboard. Now let's repeat the process for the remaining donut charts, and then we can move on to other elements on the dashboard. Ask is replicate this, what we just did for the school proficiency performance index donut chart, to do that for the other tables, county, district, and state. We do a lot of copy and paste here now. For each of these measures that we use for this donut chart, we're going to duplicate these for the next table. And let's start with total tested for school. We will select it, select all, control copy. Under measures table, let's select new measure and then paste in. What we're going to change here is the name. Instead of total tested school, it'll be total tested district, and then go down to, instead of fact school, fact district. And if you hit the end key, hit enter, now we have total tested for district. And to keep things clean, let's go over to the model view. Make sure we have total tested district selected, and then create a folder for that one. So we'll name that one district. And now it lives in its own folder for total tested district. And we can simply go from the total tested school to the next one up. Select that one. We're going to copy this DAX. Select the more options on the district folder. Click on new measure. Paste in the needs improvement for school and simply change the name to district and then change where it's pulling the information from. So instead of fact school, it'll be fact district. And everything else stays the same. Hit enter. And then you will repeat the process for the remaining measures. So select moderate performing, select all, copy, move over to the district folder, select the more options, click on new measure, paste it in. If you double click on school, change it to district, and then use your arrow keys to move over. Select district, hit enter, and that one's done. Next one up from there is high performing. Select all, control copy. Select more options on district folder, new measure, paste in the copied DAX, rename it to district, and then as you start at the end of the table name, if you start deleting the characters, it will pull up all of the tables that have the beginning portion of the name. And use your down arrow key to highlight district, hit the tab key, and then hit enter. That was high performing. Now we just have the percentage measures. This is where we can select all, control copy again, go to the district folder, select more options, new measure, paste this in, and again for district, change the name from school to district. Do that for each place where it says school. You'll find that as you use the keyboard, more efficient in writing DAX, use your arrow keys, use the tab key, you'll create a flow where a lot of the dashboards that you build, there will be a lot of copy and paste because you will repeat measures over and over again, but have a different reference point, meaning a different table, or you'll change up one thing for creating a different measure. Like most of it will be the same, but there'll be a small slight difference. Let's hit enter to solidify that DAX measure. And then click on the next one, which is percentage moderate performing. We're going to select all that, copy, select new measure under district folder, paste that in and highlight school, select district for each of the areas, and then hit enter. Now we are working on percent high performing. So we're going to select all that. Go to new measure under district. Paste that in. And replace all of the school names with district. Hit enter. And now we have all of the measures that we need to create the next donut chart. But before we do that though, let's go ahead and create the county and state folders with all of the DAX measures for those. So if you remember how we started off with the district one, is that we took the total tested for school and then created a new measure. We copied that, created a new measure, and then we assigned it a folder to go into. So by selecting total tested district, let's highlight everything, copy it under measures table, click on more options, new measure, paste in our copied DAX measure for total tested. Instead of district, we are going to call it county. And instead of fact district, it will be fact county. Enter. Now, without clicking on anything else, we make sure that the total tested county is the measure that we have highlighted. We're going to put it into the display folder of county. Hit enter. Now it lives in its own folder called county. Things clean. Let's hide all of these school measures. We don't need to see that right now, because we're going to work off of the district measures, copy these, and then paste them into the county table. We started off at the bottom. Now we're going to work on needs improvement for the county. So we'll select that from the district folder, and under county folder on the right hand side under more options, select that and then select new measure. Paste in our copied DAX. And remember, you're going to change the name from district to county, and then change from fact district to fact county, and then enter. That's all we need for that one. Then we move on to moderate performing. Let's select all of that, copy it, go over to the county folder, click on more options, go to new measure, paste that in, change the name from district to county, and then fact district. If you type in C after the underscore, it will pull up county and it'll be highlighted to make things faster, more efficient. If once an item is highlighted, if you hit the tab key, then it replaces what you have. Hit the end key and then hit enter. Then click on the next one, which will be high performing. Select all, copy, go over to the county folder, more options, new measure, paste that in under district, change the name to county, and then again, change the table reference to county. Enter. That is done. And now we work on the percent DAX measures. So selecting the percent needs improvement from district, you're going to copy all of that, go to the county folder, click on more options, new measure, paste that in, change the name from district to county, and then anywhere where it says district, change it over to county. And go back to the district folder, select percent moderate performing, select all of that, copy it, go back to the county folder, select on more options, new measure, paste that in, select the district, name, replace it with county, and then any other place that says district, replace that with county. One more to go for county. We have percent high performing. We're going to copy that from the district folder, Under county, more options, new measure, paste that in, replace the district name with county and all of the other spots that say county. Oh, this is interesting. So I created a typo in the high performing county. This is good. I get to show you what it looks like when there is a typo. And when something is missed, I spoke on earlier, if there's an error, there'll be a red bar. Well, here's that red bar, and there's a typo. Let's force change this to, say, county. We're going to hit enter to commit this DAX. It says the following DAX error occurred during parsing. Invalid token, line 2, offset 39. Well, that is because if we look at high performing count2, we gave it the wrong name. That was a typo. So we changed it over to county, hit enter, then all is fixed. Now let's do a check. We have the correct 3 percentages: high performing, moderate performing, needs improvement, total tested. So county is all complete now. Let's collapse the district folder and then create the last folder for state. So selecting total tested from county, let's select all, copy. Under measures, select measures table on the right hand side, more options, click on new measure, paste this in, and instead of county, we will call it state. And instead of fact county, it will be state number tested. Hit enter. Now that that is selected, we see on the right hand side under general properties, the name of the measure, the display folder, we're going to give that the name of state. Now it sits in its own folder called state. And we'll do the same thing that we did with the other ones, where we will go from the bottom to the top. Selecting needs improvement, select all of that, control copy, go over to the state folder on the right hand side, select more options, new measure, paste that in, change the name from county to state, and then fact county to fact state. Hit enter. That's done. Moving over to moderate performing, select all of that. Go to the state folder on the right hand side under more options, click on new measure, paste that in, replace the name of county to state, and then replace the table reference from fact county to state. Enter, commit that. Then the next one is high performing. Going to select all of that, go to the state folder, select on more options, new measure, paste that in, change the name from high performing county to high performing state, change also the table reference to fact state. And then we move over to the percent needs improvement, select all of that from the county folder, move over to the state folder, more options, new measure, paste that in, replace county with state. Yeah, make sure you spell it right. Change the name to state. Enter. Moving on over to the next one, moderate performing. Select all that, copy it, go to the state folder, select more options, go to new measure, paste that in, change it over to state, and anywhere where it says county, change that to state as well. See, a lot of times if there are errors in your DAX calculations, it is because of a syntax error, meaning there is a typo. Now select high performing, % high performing from county. Select it all in the DAX formula bar. Go over to the state folder, click on more options, new measure, paste that in, and anywhere it says county, replace that with state. All right. Now we have all of the DAX measures that we need for all of the donut charts that are on the top part of our dashboard. Let's get into the canvas area and build the rest of those donut charts. Okay. Of all of the measures completed for the donut charts, we are going to build out the rest of the donut charts on the canvas area. Let's zoom out. What we can do to make things a lot easier on ourselves, to increase efficiency, if we know that the settings are all going to be the same for all the donut charts, we can simply copy and paste and then change out the measures that are used for each individual one, and then make some slight adjustments, such as the title. So let's copy this 3 times. Zoom out a little bit more. Spread them out. We can evenly distribute them all. If you hold down the control key and then select them all, go up to Format, Align, and then Distribute horizontally. That will distribute them evenly across the top. You can select the second one. So we're going to go in order from school to district, county, and then state. So selecting the second one, instead of the school measures, we will choose the district measures. There are some things that we will have to repeat in the process of doing. I'm going to scroll in so it makes it easier to see. You'll notice that the numbers are decimal places and they're not represented as a %. So you select the measure, and then right now it's formatted as general. You can hit the drop down, go down to a percentage, or you can also hit the % sign here. And then do that for each of the measures. And for the title, make sure you open up your format pane, go over to title, change out school for district. The size will be the same. Since we chose different measures to go into this donut chart, we'll need to go into the build area and then change the name for the school donut chart. Under the legend, you'll see we changed the names of the measures from high performing to simply % high, and then % moderate and % needs improvement. So we can do that under values, right click on each value, say rename for this visual. Do the same thing for moderate performing, where you only have the percent sign and moderate. And then under needs improvement, percent needs improvement, you'll simply take out the category. So for this one, you'll be taking out district. And then the final thing to do to make this donut chart the same as the previous one, the first one that we built, is to change the colors of the slices. For that, we'll go back into the build area, go under slices, and then under moderate, we chose the green. And then under needs improvement, we chose that middle red. Remember, it is the hash color is Foxtrot Alpha 6769. And there we have it. Both of them are formatted exactly the same. And we can do this for each remaining 2 donut charts. So we remove the school measures from there. And then this one is going to be county. So county high performing, county moderate, and then needs improvement. Same steps that we did for turning them into percent, we can change it over to a percent for those measures and how they're represented. And then go under values, rename the value. Remove the performing. And then under needs improvement, remove the county name. And then since we already have the slices area open, we can change the moderate to that green color and then needs improvement over to that red color. Once again, that color is Foxtrot Alpha 6769. And now we are on the last one, which will be state. So you can remove needs improvement, add on needs improvement, remove moderate, add on moderate, remove high performing, add in high performing from the state. And you'll notice that we also need to change each of these over to a percent and how they're represented. Next, we change the name of each of the measures so that they are in line with what we've done before. Now, if you take a look, we had selected the needs improvement, moderate performing, and high performing in a different order that we did the other ones. And what that did is that it changed the order for which you see it in the values. And you can simply click on it, drag it up to the top, and it changes the order. Move the moderate over to the middle, and now you'll see that the colors have changed and the format. You can see all of the numbers, all of the percentages as you're supposed to see them. Now let's change the moderate color over to the light green color, and then the needs improvement over to the reddish orange color. And then change the name of the title to state. Now let's take a look at all of our four. Ooh, we did not change this one. Let's go into the format under title, change that. That one is the county. All right. Now we can zoom out and we see we have school proficiency performance index, district, county, and state. Now we have all four of the donut charts done and they are ready to be lowered because we are going to add in our title. How big your title is going to be as far as pixel height, then you can lower down where it says vertical here. You can lower this down all four of the donut charts at the same time to the exact place that you need to. So I know that I want a title to be about 65 pixels high. So let's change the vertical position of these donut charts to 65. And then that moves them all down to the same level at 65 pixels from the top. Now we can go to Insert, Text Box, and here we're going to choose a size 32, have it centered, and also have it bold. And then we will give it the title in all caps as Arizona Department of Education Science Proficiency Performance Index. And then we will make this as wide as our donut charts. We're also going to turn off the. We're starting to look really good now. We have the Arizona Department of Education Science Proficiency Performance Index, that very mouthful of a title. We have the four donut charts listed out, and that is the first third, essentially, of our dashboard. Things up a little bit more right now. We're going to add in an image for our background, but we're going to make it very subdued. It's not going to be distracting. For that, you go into the canvas background, click on Browse, find your picture, select Open. Right now, the transparency is set to 85%. Like that, let's keep that for now. Okay, a great start to building out the dashboard at this time. Those of you online doing the online walkthrough of this and you're not part of the DAF or the DoD, and that's not part of the Microsoft Teams Power BI group, and you want a similar version of a background image to this, I just used AI. I used the newest ChatGPT image renderer. Asked it to create an Arizona landscape mixed with education and in the style of a Pixar animation theme. Use that as a prompt, you should be able to get a very, very similar result, if not even much better than this. To produce an Arizona landscape that also has elements of education, about the Department of Education, and to do it in the style of a Pixar animation. Use your creativity. The steps in here, have it transparency at 85% or a little bit greater to make it a little bit more subdued. It depends on the colors that are used in it. No matter what, you don't want the background image of your product to be very distracting and to break the lines of your data. You don't want it to intersect and then kind of make the data hard to read. I just realized that this video is getting a little long, so I go ahead and cut this video where it's at. And then if you are ready to continue moving on to the next steps of building out the dashboard, go ahead and click on the next video, and I'll see you back in the Canvas area.